Inheritance crime, when families turn on each other. Money is one of the most powerful motives in criminal history, but some of the most unsettling crimes are not committed by strangers. They are committed by family. Across the world, police forces and fraud investigators regularly deal with crimes that begin not in criminal networks or organized gangs, but in ordinary households. An aging parent, a disputed will, a property worth more than expected, and suddenly family relationships begin to fracture. Inheritance crime is rarely dramatic in the beginning. It grows quietly through resentment, expectation, and sometimes a sense of entitlement that has been building for decades. But when money and family collide, the results can become deeply criminal. A growing category of crime. Law enforcement agencies increasingly recognize inheritance-related crime as a distinct pattern. These cases include financial manipulation of elderly relatives, forged wills, coercion over property, and in extreme cases, murder. Unlike many crimes, inheritance offenses often develop slowly. The victim may trust the offender completely, and the manipulation can appear on the surface to be ordinary family involvement. A son helping manage finances, a daughter moving in to provide care, a relative gaining power of attorney. Yet behind these apparently normal arrangements, investigators sometimes find systematic financial control or fraud. The manipulation of the vulnerable broke. One of the most common forms of inheritance crime involves coercive control over elderly relatives. In these situations, an offender may gradually isolate the victim from other family members, influence financial decisions, or pressure them into altering legal documents. A widely reported example occurred in the United Kingdom in 2017, when former Judge Constance Briscoe was convicted of attempting to pervert the course of justice in a family inheritance dispute involving her mother's estate. The case exposed how intense family conflicts over inheritance can lead to serious criminal behavior, even among highly educated individuals. While this case involved legal misconduct rather than murder, it highlighted the emotional volatility that inheritance disputes can generate. When inheritance becomes a motive for murder. In more extreme cases, inheritance becomes a direct motive for killing. One of the most famous examples in British criminal history is the case of Dr. Harold Shipman, one of the most prolific serial killers ever recorded. Shipman murdered at least 215 patients, many of whom were elderly women living alone. In several cases, he forged wills or manipulated documents that left him financial benefits after their deaths. While financial gain was not his only motive, inheritance played a role in several of the murders. The Shipman case shocked the United Kingdom because it demonstrated how easily trust could be exploited, particularly when victims were elderly and isolated. Another case involved Sante and Kenneth Kimes, an American mother and son criminal pair convicted in 2000 for the murder of wealthy businessman Irene Silverman in New York. The pair targeted Silverman because they believed they could gain access to her valuable Manhattan townhouse and assets. Inheritance or property gain was a central motive in the crime. Why inheritance crimes are so difficult to detect? Investigators often describe inheritance cases as among the most complicated crimes to prove. Unlike robbery or assault, the evidence may appear entirely legal. A will might have been signed correctly. A bank transfer might appear voluntary. A property sale might look legitimate. The crime lies not in the document itself, but in the circumstances surrounding it. Did the victim understand what they were signing? Were they pressured or manipulated? Were they isolated from people who might have questioned the decision? These questions can take years to answer. The psychology behind family crime. Psychologists studying inheritance disputes note that financial gain is rarely the only motivation. Family dynamics play a major role. Long-standing rivalries between siblings, unresolved resentment, and perceived injustices can all contribute to criminal decisions. When an inheritance becomes a symbol of recognition or validation, it can carry emotional weight far beyond its financial value. In some cases, offenders believe they are simply taking what they deserve. This sense of entitlement can be powerful enough to override both moral and legal boundaries. The silent crime that begins at home. Inheritance crime rarely makes headlines in the same way as violent street crime. Yet, Legal experts say disputes over estates are increasing as property values rise and populations age. For investigators, these cases reveal an uncomfortable truth. The people most likely to control our finances in old age are often those closest to us. And while most families act with care and loyalty, history shows that the combination of money, expectation, and long-standing resentment can sometimes produce the most unsettling crimes of all. Because, when inheritance becomes the motive, the crime scene is rarely a dark alley. More often, it is the family home.